Dear students, this is 12th zoology video class. Chapter 6, Part 7. Chapter 6, Part 7, Evolution. Last video class, we have seen evidences from comparative anatomy, homologous structure, analogous structure, and vestigial organs we have seen, and what is connecting link we have seen, and embryological evidences also we have seen. The next topic we are going to see is the one molecular evidence. Molecular evidence 1. Molecular evidence is the process of change in the sequence compositions of molecules such as DNA, RNA, and proteins across generations. Here they say change occurs in the sequence compositions of molecules, that is DNA, RNA, and proteins. So that is we call as a molecular evidences. What are the use of this one? It is uses principles of evolutionary biology and population genetics to explain patterns in the changes of molecules. One of the most useful advancement in the development of molecular biology is proteins and other molecules that controls life processes are conserved among the species. A slight change that occurs over time in these conserved molecules, that is DNA, RNA, and proteins. So in these three molecules, slight change occurs in that one, are often called as a molecular clocks. Yeah, DNA, RNA, and proteins, there is a slight change occurs generation by generations. That is we call as a molecular clocks. Molecules that have been used to study evolutions are cytochrome. That is cytochrome C, that is respiratory pathway, or RNA protein synthesis. So they'll ask you important 3 marks or 2 marks. What is molecular clocks? Just underline, just write in your textbook on top. Indirect questions, important question they'll ask you. The next topic we are going to see is the one theories of biological evolution. So here you are going to see Lamarck's theory and objections of Lamarckism. So all the theory we are going to see. Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck was the first to postulate the theory of evolutions in his famous book called Philosophic Zoology Q in the year of 1809. So yes, the Lamarck has published one book, that book name called as a Philosophic Zoology Q. This is important one word they'll ask you in the year of 1809. He has just framed two principles. That principle only called as a Lamarckian theory. That those principles are the theory of use and disuse. Organs that are used often will increase in size, and those that are not used will degenerate. Okay, what do they say here? The organs what we have, what other organisms have, that organ should be used very often. If that organs are not used very often means, so that organs will degenerate, will reduced or become as disappear. That is the concept of use and disuse theory. For example, he has given neck of giraffe. Giraffe you might have been seen in the picture or in the Discovery channels. You see the giraffe neck. If you observe the neck in giraffe as use and absence of limbs in snakes is an examples for disuse. What do they say here? Neck is the giraffe is an examples because during summer seasons there are three different types of giraffe were there. One is tall neck, short neck, and medium neck. During lack of food during summer season, the giraffe, whoever uses the long neck, their food item will be in the top of the leaf. Their giraffe will have a leaf of tree. So that tree can be found only in the topmost of the tree during summer season. The giraffe whoever have long neck, they can balance the food in both seasons, in all the seasons. The giraffe whoever have medium neck, lower neck, they may not have enough amount of food. What happened? They used to die. That's the say as examples of this one. And snakes in the examples also they use for the disuse theory. The theory of inheritance acquired characters. Theory of inheritance acquired characters. The characters that are developed during the lifetime of an organism are called acquired characters, and these are then inherited. Acquired characters means whatever the characters they acquired in their lifetime, that characters will be transferred or passed on to the next generation. That is to say as a theory of inheritance of acquired characters. The next topic is the main objections to Lamarckism. Lamarck's theory of acquired characters was disproved by August Weismann, who conducted experiments on mice for 20 generations by cutting their tail and breeding them. All mice born were with tail. Weismann proved that change in the somatoplasm will not be transferred to the next generations, but change in germplasm will be inherited. So, August Weismann just disproved the theory of acquired characters of Lamarck by using mice. By using mice, he has selected many 20 pairs of mice, 20 pairs of mice, or 20 pairs of generations of mice, not only 20 pairs. He selected one pair of mice and just cut their tails, male and female, of mice, and allowed them to mate, allow them to have reproductions, and they get young ones. Whatever whatever the number they get young ones is observed. He has observed that no one has get reduced or get cut off tailed in the next generations. Like that, he has observed 20 generations by cut of their tail one by one. each and every generations. Like that, he has observed 20 generations. None of the generations are born with reduced tail. All that mice they born with a fully mature, a fully grown tail only. So in this, he has concluded in our body we have two types of cells. One is somatic cells, another one is the one germ plasm cells. So he says, who says mean that August Weismann says the change which occurs in the somatoplasm, which you mean the body cells, the change which occurs in the body cells will not be influenced to the next generations, will not be transferred to the next generations. If any change occurs in the germ plasm, will be transmitted to the next generations. Will be transmitted to the next generations. Even, for example, you take a human being. If before marriage, if any man cut his hand by accidentally, fingers among any hand or fingers, any one fingers out of five fingers, anyone hands if two fingers are cut off, and that injured got all right, and he got married, and he got young ones. So that can you observe that the last fingers will it come to the next generations? Two fingers is the last. The same two fingers, last one will not be seen in the next generations. The next generations can be seen all the fingers of their child. So with that only he says the change which occurs in the somatoplasm will not be transmitted to the next generations. If any change occurs in the germ cells or sick cells, it will be transferred to the next generation. That is the concept of August Weismann. The next topic is the one Neo-Lamarckism. Neo-Lamarckism. The followers of Lamarck and Neo-Lamarckism, the followers Lamarck only we call as a Neo-Lamarckism. Like Cope, Asborn, Packard, and Spencer's tried to explain Lamarck's theory on a more scientific basis. They consider that adaptations are universal. Adaptations are universal. Adaptation and suitable conditions where the organisms can select their own habitat. Organisms acquire new structures due to their adaptations to the changed environmental conditions. They argued that external conditions stimulate the somatic cells to produce certain secretions which reach the sex cells through the blood. So here, Neo-Lamarck means one who supports to Lamarck, they call as a Neo-Lamarcks. They are argued the Lamarck concept. How do they argue? It means if any organism acquire new structures, if any organism they get new structures due to their adaptations. If any organisms, if they get new behaviors due to their surroundings and new characters they grasp due to their surroundings, that's they say that due to their adaptation to the change environmental conditions, to the change environmental conditions. So that conditions, that's they say as external conditions. That external conditions stimulate the somatic cells. That external conditions stimulate the somatic cells to produce certain secretions which reach the sex cells through the blood and brings about the variations in the offspring. You know what do you mean by offspring? Offspring means young ones. What that Neo-Lamarckism followers says, these three scientists, Cope, Osborn, Packard, and Spencer's for one, if any change occurs, if any characters we get through our environmental, through our adaptations, so that characters will be influenced in the germ cells by somatic cells through the blood, they say. Somatic cells through the blood. to the gamete cells. So that is the concept of neo-Lamarckism. The next one, Darwin's theory of natural selections. Charles Darwin explained the theory of evolutions in his book. That book name is the Origin of the Species by Natural Selection. During his journey around the earth, he made extensive observations of plants and animals. He noted a huge variety and remarkable similarities among the organisms and their adaptive features to cope to cope up to their environment. He proved that fittest organisms can survive and leave more progenies than unfit ones through the natural selections. So Charles Darwin explained that what do you mean by natural selections, how any organisms live through the natural selections. This he has explained in his book named called as the Origin of Species by Natural Selections. We'll see this topic in the next class. Today we are seeing today we are seeing Lamarckisms, then main objections to Lamarckisms, theory of biological evolutions, and molecular evidences. Just go through today itself. If you have any doubt, you can contact me. Okay, bye. Take care.